Hey everybody, Ketwolski here, checking back in with another one of our hashtag Star Trek live stream discussions. I am, of course, joined today by the fantastic and amazing Trek YouTube channel known as Trek Central, ran by Captain Jack. Captain Jack, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me back as well. It's always great to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. We got quite a few interesting things that we want to talk about today. So, maybe about a month or so ago, you and I did a live stream only over on your channel where we kind of gave some predictions and some ideas and theories about what we were going to see from Star Trek at New York Comic Con. And some of those things kind of came true, but a lot of them didn't. But I did want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Discovery, and then we're going to round up with some of your experiences at Destination Star Trek over this last weekend, which I think everyone is very eager to hear. So, general question for you from the Star Trek Picard trailer number
Mhm.
2. What was some of your favorite moments there? What'd you enjoy the most?
Ooh, there is many to choose from. Well, first, because the image just passed by on the screen, it was the hologram of the Enterprise D, or at least the Galaxy class, untouched, unaltered, original as it was last seen on screen. Was fantastic. I love seeing that because I'm a ship person myself. I love seeing the Enterprise D, or at least the Galaxy class, on our screens. Secondly, the Riker bit, or with Jonathan Frakes, was fantastic because it actually seemed like it wasn't Riker, it was just Jonathan Frakes himself. Stop shouting scene. You can just imagine Jonathan shouting that on set, really. And I love that
Yep.
part. The whole trailer just came together really nicely. Seeing Brent again, or Brent Spiner's data, and more of a story is now seeping out. We see like colonies here, maybe a Romulan colony. We're getting more intro into the characters. There's a Borg as well. There's a lot more story coming out, of which I think you agree, because we obviously analysed it and everything. It's getting close. We're very close now to Star Trek Picard, and a lot of it seeping out. I can't wait. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I'm gonna have like kind of a cop out answer. I hate to give that one, but honestly, the thing that I loved the most was the mystery of the story. It's pulling me in so much. I just cannot wait to find out. Not only was Picard up to before the show takes place, like what happened, why did he leave the Enterprise, what was this other mission, what happened with Romulus after the destruction, and now where are we with these Borg and all this experimentation stuff going on? Like I am so interested in what is going on with this show and what this story is. Like they've written something that I honestly, as much as theorying that I try to do, and I know you try to do as well over on your channel, it's almost impossible for us to really guess exactly what they're going to do next, and that's exciting. Like that's my favorite part, is just the mystery, the unknown that we're getting into with the show. But you did mention a little bit about colonies and things of that from this show. So one of the things that kind of piqued my interest actually while I was watching the trailer was those ships. We actually see it up on screen here now, attacking what appears to be like a star base and like a colony and stuff like that. What do you think these ships are? Like who are they, and what are they doing?
So these ships, these are mysterious red. Oh, we see here is with what's on screen now, just attacking the starbase there. I don't know. They seem to us when I first thought of it before I came on stream today. For some reason, the Section 31 drone from Discovery came to mind. I'm not sure why. It's just because I've been looking at the Eaglemoss model recently because they're releasing a new one, and like it makes sense. I'm making some sort of drone or some sort of stealth thing or something like that. I don't know. Black holes in Star Trek or any sci-fi usually says stealth to me. I've watched enough of The Expanse and just Star Wars and anything else. Black holes usually say stealth ships. I think we can agree. So when I saw that, I was like, what's going on here? I don't know. But it looks like a Federation starbase they're attacking, or at least some sort of starbase being attacked. I don't know. It's something interesting going on. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, it's so strange because it's still not really clear what this armada that he led, a rescue armada, and then there were some covert operations missions that I guess are going to be covered in the IDW comic as well. And it's so interesting because it appears as though it's not just one specific thing that happened. Like obviously we know about Romulus and its destruction. We know that there's Romulan colonies and the government's kind of all over the place. We know that piece, but there's like another element that we're just totally missing. And I think it has to do with these ships that attacked something. And I don't know what they are. It's quite interesting. I kind of hope that it's a totally unique and new race. Section 31 drones does make a little bit of sense. It does have that kind of black and bluish look that they had in Discovery, but I think people are probably over Section 31 right now. But
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I think, if this I don't mind if Section 31 are mentioned in this series because, you know, they are an integral part of it. And if you read the books, they are also an integral part of the story at this time. But obviously, what Picard uses from the books is obviously up to high debate. However, I don't want the whole thing to be, oh, it's Section 31 again, because quite frankly, we've had enough of that in Discovery.
Right.
And, you know, it's like, how secret is this secret organization at this point? Especially by, you know, DS9 time, but it was meant to be really, really secret. So for them to be out in the open again wouldn't make any sense in my mind. I think potentially Tal Shiar could be involved. We are seeing an attack on a Federation outpost. Again, Tal Shiar known to be mysterious, shall we say, for lack of a word, in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it could be them. I don't know. But thinking of a new race, you have given me an idea, particularly for the video we're releasing on our channel tomorrow. And you already did a video on this called "What Happened to the Federation." Ours is called the same thing, but we didn't copy you. Talking about basically,
I'm gonna
what the
sue you. I
Federation there.
swear. No, that's a bad joke.
So one
Sorry.
of the ideas we visited, and I don't know if you visited in your video because I've not happened to watch it yet. Don't kick me off.
You're
Was
done.
about the undeveloped spin-off thing called Star Trek Federation. Have you heard about before?
Yeah, the that's the Brian Singer
Yes,
one you're
so
talking
this
about.
was
Yep.
developed after Enterprise was cancelled, and it was meant to basically explore 3,000 years in the future when the Federation had become complacent and decayed due to its human-centric nature. Now, in there, they had a new enemy called the Scourge, which basically, you know, caused a lot of stuff to happen, broke up a few things, and the Federation like, no, it doesn't exist. We don't see it. Yep, that colony went missing on its own. You spent about new species there. That could be another idea they're drawing from that series for Star Trek Picard. I don't think so, though. I think it's definitely got to be centric around the Romulans, or at least something going on there. You know, there's some sort of injustice going on, which is the theme of this series. So that's kind of what I think's going on. I don't think they want to do it as a new species. It's got to be something centric, I think.
It sounds to me like you're implying that CBS has stolen yet another element from somewhere.
I would
No,
never
I'm
say
kidding.
that.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, it's very possible. It's very possible that may be something that it's kind of an unknown force, kind of like a Yuzong Vong from Star Wars type of enemy from the unknown. We don't even know what the state of the Gamma Quadrant is really at this point, so they could be from anywhere at this point. So I'm very excited to see how that plays out there. So Paul Coughlin, I guess is how you say, says, can we talk about Data's makeup and or wig? And I want to talk a little bit about that really quick since you asked. And a lot of people have issues with the way that Brent Spiner looks in the show right now. And the wig seems a little puffy, I would say that. But other than that, I don't really find any issues with the rest of the costume. I feel like they did a little bit of updating to it, but ultimately they're trying their best to kind of...
Would you like some good news?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, speaking on this topic, Brent Spiner actually confirmed at DSC, I don't know if you heard this or if I mentioned it, basically that Data will look like Data in Nemesis. And apparently the trailer shots, of which I think we're about to see on screen now, yes, of the trailer shots on screen now of Data there, they're almost final, but they're not the final ones. I can't remember what exact word he used, but basically, take the trailer with Data as a pinch of salt. He will apparently look like he did in Star Trek Nemesis. According to Brent, they could have made him look like they did in The Next Generation. However, he felt that wouldn't have looked at all. It wouldn't look properly. So they're going to go with the Nemesis version, but apparently the trailer didn't hit the nail on the head.
Well,
so
that's even better, I guess, to kind of quell some of the issues with it. Personally, I didn't have a problem with it. Brent's very old. They're bringing him back. He's, I shouldn't say like that.
I think it's great we have him back, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's just back. They're bringing him back. Yeah, of course, he's going to look different. He's going to look a little bit different. It is what it is. I'd rather have him back and have it be Brent Spiner than them try to recast Data as a younger actor or something weird like that. Or I'm okay with it. But talking about returning characters that may appear to be a little bit old, one of the characters that I theorized were going to make an appearance, which I still believe is going to happen inside of New York Comic Con, but I still think is going to happen eventually, is the character of Q. We didn't get anything about that. I did a video about that weird, mysterious little photograph studio thing that they were doing with somebody wearing a big red glove. I was thinking Q might show up. Do you think there's still an opportunity for Q to appear in the show, or do you think that maybe I'm pipe dreaming here?
No, I don't think so. I think there's always an opportunity for Q to show up because he was such a central part of Picard's story as well. Although he wasn't there in every episode, he was central to Picard's character. He appeared in the very first episode. He appeared in the very last. Okay, he didn't appear in any of the movies, but you treat them differently slightly. Yeah. However, I think he could appear, but only if the story fits right. Because I don't really want Star Trek Picard to become a revolving door of everyone we had in the Next Generation. I think I think someone else, if it's either Alex Kurtzman or Heather Caden or Kivas Goldman, someone who's an executive producer, said that people from the Next Generation and subsequent other series will only appear if the story fits them to appear. That's how I want Q to appear, and Sela and anyone else. I know we'll talk about her in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyone like that to appear if the story fits them. Let's not shoehorn in people just because, as much as I'd like to see everyone from the Next Generation, them popping up for the sake of it, I'd rather the story fit it so we can get a nice story at the end of the day. That's my personal opinion, because then I think the characters will also be treated properly and respected properly if they appear with a nice story. What do you think on that?
I agree with you. So I'm split. I agree with what you're saying, and I totally understand that we can't just shove people in. But I am also of the belief that if this is the last time we can get some of these characters on screen together in Star Trek, I kind of just want them to do it. But I mean, because at this point we're only missing 3. We're only missing Worf, Geordi, and Crusher. We're only missing 3 of the main principal cast. So is it possible if they could squeeze them into the second season, since we already know it's confirmed and they're going to be filming next year? I think it's possible. I think it's cool to have a revolving door, as long as that door revolves very slowly, if that makes sense. Like, as long as they pace it out right. If this is clearly about the Borg and clearly about like Picard getting back into things, and they obviously were going to bring Frakes back because he's there on set anyways, so duh. But I think it's okay with who they brought in, and if they break it out a little bit, I think it's going to be better than just quickly running everybody through one season.
I agree. I think, having everyone together, I'd love a shot of the entire The Next Generation cast stood on the bridge of a starship again, or having a drink at Picard's vineyard. Something like that would be fantastic. And almost like, the last send-off in a way. I hope it's not, but it almost is a proper send-off. Because I feel like with Nemesis, it wasn't really a send-off in a way, because Data died and everyone split off and went their separate ways. We need an all good things ending. We're all sat around the table and Picard saying, I should have done this a long time ago. There's my John Wick impression.
Wow, that was
something like that.
Great.
I've been drinking Earl Grey this evening, so it's come to me.
That's good. No, what we need actually is an incident where Picard gets sucked into an energy ribbon and then is chopping. No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible.
A lot of people are saying Riker's house looks like Jim Kirk's house from Generations.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's deliberate, or it's just they've conveniently found 2 wooden houses that look the same. But
I think I've also heard that it looks like the house from the Avengers movie that Tony Stark was in. So I don't know. I think it's just a cabin in the woods. But what do I know about knowing things? So all right. So
do you think Picard will rejoin Starfleet? I don't think so. I don't know. Patrick Stewart specifically said he didn't want to put on the uniform when doing this series, and he did it for 1 scene or 2 scenes, of which we've seen one of them in the trailer, I believe, and one might appear elsewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll rejoin anytime soon, unless Starfleet change the uniform standards. No, I don't think that's going to be the story just so far, because how the entire series story sets up is he's outside of a federation, dealing with things on his own, as a normal citizen. That's been explained a few times now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, maybe in season 2, if they do season 2, obviously we know they're probably going to do it, but no official green light on it just yet. But hey, what do you think on that?
I don't think that he will appear in uniform within the show. I think he's going to be in his Admiral uniform that we saw from DST inside the short trek Children of Mars. That's what I think we're going to get.
Let's talk about the short trek a minute, if you don't mind, because obviously that's going to appear soon. In January, I believe that's happening, isn't it? Did we get the date for that? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yes, I can pull it up really quickly for you here. I got it on
January 14th?
I've got it on my Trello. Hashtag visit my Trello. Sorry, it's shameless plugs here. So
we should have it on ours, but someone's not put it on there yet. Whoops.
So it is January 9th.
January 9th. Oh, quite soon then. Yep. So basically, I don't know. It depends what the contents of the Children of Mars is going to be. Now, obviously, the Children of Mars, I believe that as an ode to the mythology, which is Romulus and Remus. Don't you think?
Yes, I do. And that's why I do think, I'm wondering if possible that the Children of Mars thing is that they're going to imply that maybe they relocated some of the Romulan refugees on Mars, and that's going to kind of tie into that.
Shot from a trailer where you see a colony being built on an arid planet, which I guess we could say sort of looks Mars, maybe a terraform Mars by this time. Who knows? I don't know. There's a lot to go at in that short trek there. And I don't know, there's so much to discuss now. My mind is overflowing with ideas.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. It's okay. Yeah, you're good.
That short trek. What do you think about the short trek so far? What do you think is going to happen in it? It's obviously going to be something to set up Picard. So do you reckon it's going to include Jean-Luc himself? or are we going to maybe be setting up other characters who are integral to the story?
I think that we are going to see Jean-Luc in whatever this mission is that caused him to leave the Federation. I think we're going to see kind of a tipping point or something in regards to that. And I think we're going to see some of the characters specifically, and gosh, I can't remember her name. She's the operative, the former Section 31 operative with the drug addiction.
Michelle Hurd, who plays Laffy.
I think it might be Michelle Hurd. I think we might see her, and they might be doing some stuff, and then that kind of, so that way you kind of have like a little taste of their relationship leading into the show. And that's why I think we're going to see him in uniform there. It's going to be something in revolving around that.
So maybe this is going to involve that, off the books mission she spoke about, which is obviously mentioned in the trailer.
Right.
And also, we know Evan Evergore's character of, the names escape my mind now.
You mean
Elgor? Elnor, there we go.
Romulan Legolas? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm not
There we
calling him
go.
that as I like Evan. Elnor. We know that he was rescued as a child by Picard. I'm pretty sure that's mentioned somewhere, isn't it?
It is,
But
yep.
basically, yeah. So therefore, and we know Ian Nunney is playing the young Elnor. What if that is going to appear in the short trek, or this is where the incident happens? So therefore, that's where we see Elnor being rescued by Picard during this operations mission.
Yep,
Then
that's very
again, we see
possible.
this attack in the trailer. So whether that's also going to be explored in a show, I don't know. They're doing that thing where they're warping the stuff around again.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. Like the typical J.J. Abrams thing. Let's throw a trailer out there, confuse the hell out of them.
That's where we are right now. So, all right.
We
So
see these ships here attacking a colony.
we don't even know what that means yet. It couldn't even be in the show. That could actually be a trailer attached to the Children of Mars.
Could be a short track.
Yeah. Could be. So, all right.
The Admiral Picard uniform, like you mentioned, very cool. I got to see that up close and personal at DST. Very nice uniform, to be honest, and I like it. It's a blend of the uniforms we saw in the Next Generation, but also a nice new modern twist on it, I found.
Yeah, I actually liked it as well. I don't know if you saw the image I posted up on Twitter and on YouTube of the two uniforms that kind of from TNG to where it is now. And I like the fact that it's actually got more TNG blends than it does from the Generations films. I think it's a nice tie-in, but I think it's kind of a nice like symbiotic connection between the older show and now this newer show. And I don't think it's ignoring the concept of the films. I think it's just trying to visually connect the two. I liked it. And as I've told a lot of other people, things on static displays and on mannequins look weird, but when they're on screen being worn by a human, they don't necessarily look that way. So we just need to give it time. For people who are on the fence about it, just give it some time and let's see what it looks like on screen. That's would be my advice to anybody that's on the fence about it. But
I agree.
All right. So shifting gears a little bit, we're going to get to Sela here in a bit. Star Trek Discovery also had a big trailer reveal at New York Comic Con. And a lot of people, I think, are interested in what they're doing. But I think the temperature that I have seen kind of taken from the people that I kind of follow and stuff is it's cautiously optimistic of what they might be doing. And I guess really the big question that I have for you right now is, number one, what was your kind of takeaway favorite moment from that particular trailer? And then we'll follow that up with what the heck do you think is going on with the Federation?
I'll answer that question, but with a subset first one to go off. You mentioned people are cautiously optimistic. However, I think people are more hyped about Picard first because obviously that's coming out. It's new, fresh, but also it's got Jean-Luc or Patrick Stewart in it as Jean-Luc Picard. I think people are a lot more hyped about that first. So I feel like Discovery's a bit on the back burner and isn't being as appreciated as much as it maybe is because we've got this new flashy thing, which is Starship Picard. There's nothing wrong with that because it's something new. We're all fascinated by new and shiny things. But talking about Discovery, I think the trailer was great. It was a nice little tease into what's going on in season 3. And of course, typical CBS and Star Trek left us with a ton of questions of what the hell is going on.
They're really
the whole
good
thing
at
about
that.
the Federation, that's nailing it home there. What's happened to the Federation? Because the United Federation of Planets has stood as such a central thing throughout the whole of Star Trek. It was mentioned in Enterprise many times, although it wasn't actually there yet. At least Starfleet was. And also even calling like the Starfleet Delta a ghost. But that's also like slightly concerning. What's happened to Starfleet, this organization which everyone and their dog wanted to be a part of, no matter whether you watched it or at least was in Star Trek. Everyone wanted to be Starfleet. So now they're apparently gone in the future. It's like, what's going on here then? It's needs something interesting. And also the man with a flag in the closet. I'm interested in what his story is, to be honest, just because why have you folded up a flag in the ceiling? Tell me more.
It wasn't a closet, okay?
It's a ceiling. Who puts a flag in the ceiling?
He had this very, very elaborate
Imagine if it
display
actually
set
wasn't a
up.
closet, like he walks in like Commander Burnham. I've been waiting for you. Opens like the storage closet. Look what I have. It's a flag. Closes
Oh,
it.
why wasn't he? I would expect him to like unzip his jacket. He's wearing like a
Yeah, let me
Federation
just put it
t-shirt.
up a minute. I'll be back in 5. Yeah, it's one of a disco t-shirts in the CVS store.
That's terrible.
That's plugging their own merch a bit too far.
That's right. So yeah, I like I've done a video about this and I've kind of theorized a few things about what may or may not have happened. I like the idea. Again, I'm excited for season 3 because they have a whole new sandbox to play in. What they're doing with the Federation is what I personally am cautiously optimistic about, because this potentially could be something very unique, very special, and very, very cool to watch on screen, to see what is it like inside the Alpha and Beta quadrants without the Federation. Like, what does that look like? And what's going on with all these other races and what happened? Like, if they do this right, this could potentially be one of the greatest stories told in Star Trek, in my opinion, because it's something that we have literally never seen before, where there's no governing organization that's controlling everything. Obviously, we have the Mirror Universe that has like the Terran Empire, but in Prime Universe, the Federation's always banging around doing stuff, and without Mama Federation there, how is everybody getting along and how is the universe working out? So I am very excited, but cautiously optimistic, but very excited for Discovery season 3.
Speaking a bit more about the Federation,
Mm-hmm.
as TJ just reminded me, Michelle Paradise, who is soon to be most likely the showrunner of Discovery, I
Right.
think, because she's going to be trusted with it as soon as Alex Kurtzman is confident, I think, because currently they're co-showrunners. However, I feel as we go towards the ending of Discovery season 3, Michelle Paradise will become the main showrunner. I don't know if it's happened yet. Do you know if it's happened yet?
I believe it's happened already. Yeah, they were
It's happened
co
already,
at the
okay.
end of 2, and then now she's been slotted to be
Okay, cool.
be the boss.
So she mentioned that the Federation's challenge not gone, as TJ just reminded me. Thank you very much. So therefore, I reckon that the Federation is in this decayed state already. They've decayed so small, maybe, that no one in the overall galaxy really remembers them anymore, which will probably build into the thing like, do you believe in ghosts? To the Starfleet Delta.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's ghosts as in like you're a symbol of the past, maybe the failure of the past, a decaying past, or they really are the past essentially. So they've been gone or absent from galactic affairs for some time. There's definitely a lot of questions around that topic of why the Federation decayed. Also, we saw Andorians running around, shooting things up.
Right.
No Klingons, though. Bit odd.
No Klingons. Yeah, no Klingons. I do have, I think I said this in my video, but my theory is, like, there is a quick shot in that trailer where it looks like there's a bunch of people kind of pointing weapons at the Discovery crew in the engineering room. And
Yes,
there's
I'm glad
people
you
in
mentioned this.
uniforms. And I'm wondering, my theory was initially like, is that like the temporal agency trying to do stuff, trying to fix things that's going on? But that could be, in fact, Starfleet. That could be, or not Starfleet, but that could be Starfleet and or the Federation. That could be what they are now, and maybe they're much more militant because they've had to turn that way because they've lost a lot of their power in the quadrants. So I'm wondering if maybe they're like, they reach out to the Federation that they are now, and they're like, oh, you guys aren't living up to the ideals at all. Like, you guys are terrible. So I'm wondering if maybe
it's a
that's
Splinter
something.
Cell.
It could be that too. It definitely could be that too.
Speaking of that engine room scene, one thing me and TJ have been talking about quite a lot is the new non-binary character who is meant to be included in Star Trek Discovery Season 3.
Yes.
We know CBS have casted that character, or were looking for a someone to play that character a while ago because they put up a casting call for it. Now, obviously, this person is in Discovery Season 3. I believe we see them in the trailer a few times. However,
Yes.
they've not exclusively been mentioned publicly yet. Like, I've not said, yes, this is the new person. However, we see them in the trailer.
Correct. Yes.
So this person seems to play a central part to Discovery. We see them in the Trill pool as well, however you want to call that. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yes.
As he just reminded me, I think is it Adria or Adria?
Adira? Yeah, I actually haven't been able to get 100% confirmation on the name of that particular
I think
character.
that was like the code name or just a name mentioned for it. We're not sure if that's definitely the one just yet.
Right.
However, this character appears to be central to the story, but this character is also a part of that organization we see holding up the Discovery engineering room, or at least near the Spore Cube. So
Yes.
therefore, are they a part of this old or current Starfleet, this Splinter Cell maybe, or this current sect wearing the new like uniforms? They have some sort of badge, these uniforms do, but we can't see it
Right.
through the trailer.
And it makes sense if they are like a kind of like a rougher version of the Federation, because from what I'm gathering, and this is purely speculation, but because she appears in the Troll Pool, she appears in the Jeffries tubes, and she appears in a very specific scene with a long-haired Michael Burnham who's back in uniform. So what I'm thinking is maybe she's attached to this futuristic version of the Federation, and after she meets up with the Discovery crew, she's like, yeah, I don't really agree with all of these guys' tactics either, and I want to help you restore the Federation to its former glory. I'm wondering if maybe that's part of the story there. Or maybe it is a separate splinter group, and she's like, I don't want to be with these groups. I was wrong to join them, and I want to come with you guys. Or I'm not quite sure what they're doing just yet. But again, that is a very interesting kind of character that obviously, like you said, is going to be super impactful to the story, because we don't even really know the character's name yet, but they were featured in multiple scenes in the trailer, so they're going to be doing something. I don't know what yet. They will be doing something.
I believe they are going to be central to the story. And also Anthony Rapp, and she's not the new captain. They are not the new captain. So pronouns are important. I must remember to keep saying that. Not going to be new captain, but Anthony Rapp said that this character, he said his character Stamets is meant to be mentoring a new character, as TJ just reminded me as well. And he reiterated this a couple of times at DST as well. So I think the amount of time he's mentioning it, particularly when questions of how Discovery has inclusivity, I think that's the right word. Is it the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, when that topic is brought up, he mentions that he's going to be mentoring this new character, and Discovery is going to be continuing to push for boundaries of inclusivity as well. So therefore, I think this character is going to be central to the story for that sole fact.
Yes.
I don't know. It's a lot to explore. I'm personally excited for it and see where they go, as I think this could be a bold new frontier for Star Trek as a whole. Star Trek has always been known to push for boundaries when it comes to things like this, so rightly so, they should push it through Discovery Season 3. And I hope the character is central to the story as well, because I think it makes perfect sense.
No, I agree with you 100%. So let's shift gears a little bit. Obviously, one of the larger disappointments for me from New York Comic Con was Q, the lack of Q, and the lack of Sela. I was feeling very confident that we were going to see something from Sela in New York Comic Con. Nothing occurred, and that was kind of a bummer for myself. But we did get a little bit of a tease that you experienced while you were at Destination Star Trek in regards to Denise Crosby and Sela. And I was wondering if you wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about that, and then maybe kind of lead right into just some of your experiences at Destination Star Trek.
Sure. So you want me to talk about the Sela thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So we weren't actually at the panel. I have two people confirmed it for us. Denise Crosby was asked the question of what Sela is Sela alive in the Star Trek universe. So we covered this in our video as well and on social media. And she basically confirmed to us that Sela is currently still alive in the Star Trek universe, and that she's been chatting with CBS executives about the character of Empress Sela. She meant to point out Empress Sela being an adversary for Picard in obviously what we can presume the series Star Trek Picard. Now, I like the sound of that. Sela was very, she was obviously an adversary of Picard in The Next Generation for a little while, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously we didn't see much of her. She was absent from other Romulan affairs like the Dominion War, and also she wasn't in Nemesis at all. You think she may have, popped up in Nemesis, considering that was quite central to the Romulan story, and also Picard as well. But maybe something happened to her then. And obviously, if you played the MMO Star Trek Online, of which is a fantastic game, she was very central to the story there, as Empress Sela herself, her involvement with the Iconian War, messing around with Federation and various things. So her character has a lot of rich lore to it. So yeah, that's what we learned at DST, that Empress Sela is still alive, and maybe she could be popping back on our screens sometime in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I would be very excited about it. And it makes perfect sense considering I know we talked earlier about the revolving door, but when you look at what we're dealing with in the Picard show right now, we have Borg and we have Romulans. And we're bringing back Seven, and we've brought back Hugh. And now it makes sense to bring back Sela because she's kind of the last surviving, I guess you could say, antagonist for Picard on the Romulan front. And it would be fun to see him kind of deal with that, because one of the things that they played up quite a bit in the show was Picard's guilt over the loss of Tasha Yar, and then obviously we had the whole time travel thing, which is what led to Sela's kind of birth. But he felt very guilty over the loss of Tasha Yar, so he felt kind of like a weird connection to Sela, and I think it would be fun to see that kind of play out now decades later, of how he still feels and still maybe grapples with the loss of that character. So I'm very excited for that. I think it's very possible, and I still think that 100%, whether it's Worf, Geordi, Sela, Q, whomever, there's still other characters that they are not telling us about that we'll get surprised with when the show comes
I
on.
think, if our calculations and theories and speculation and rumors are correct, then I think Denise Crosby is in there somewhere. In fact, she's let this slip as well. I have a feeling she wasn't meant. I have a feeling she wasn't meant to mention that. And CBS snipers are currently on the way. That was a running joke at DST, by the way, but CBS snipers were around the place.
That's right.
I think, someone else mentioned this in our comments and a few other people in the TC team that maybe she'll pop up towards the end of season 1, like, haha, I'm Empress Sela, da-da, season 2. Almost a bit like, how the Enterprise popped up at the end of season 1 of Discovery, almost to bait us into a season 2. I think, something like that could happen with Picard, where it's in fact, the whole of season 1 storyline has been revolving on Sela pulling the strings, being the sneaky Romulan she's always been, or half Romulan. And that'll be revealed for the story of season 2. I think that might make sense, and they would have had time to film that for season 1, if she was at the very end of it. So maybe, I don't know. What do you think about that? Her popping up as a cameo to lead on to season 2?
I think it's very possible. I think we're going to get a big cameo at the end to tease for a second season. And I think right now my thought process is it leans more towards Q popping up at the end. But either Q or Sela, or both, really, because both would just jazz, people up even more. But I think one of them is going to appear at the final episode to kind of get that excitement going. And obviously they're going to want to tease it because they already have the green light, so they want to get people jazzed about the next season. So I think it's very possible that we'll see that. But so other than the Sela panel, what else did you kind of get up to at Destination Star Trek? What was going on?
Destination Star Trek was a great event. I think, this is the first Star Trek event I've been to. It's the first event we took TC to, our Trek Central, as a brand as well. And meeting so many passionate Star Trek fans and just lovely people in general. As I mentioned to you while I was chatting before we started the live stream, the atmosphere of this event was really cool. I've been to many events, many gaming events, many media events in the last couple of years. However, the atmosphere of this event, of everyone just being so friendly to each other, was really nice. I mean, we met some great people there. People from Hero Collector, Eagle Moss, Chris and Ben, who and run those accounts. Fantastic people. We met the Star Trek Online community manager and a few other developers. They're really nice. Met TJ from Star Trek Pike as well. She's lovely. Myself and Dom went from Trek Central. Honestly, the people there were fantastic. One of the best events in terms of people I've been to in a while. In terms of like what was on display at the event, you got your typical merch stuff. Nothing too much to write home about. Hero Collector and Star Trek Online, they had some really good stalls. The stars very nice. I got to chat to Connor Trenier for a couple of minutes, which is pretty cool. The panels, they were really interesting, especially the panel of Patrick Stewart. I love that. The fact people gave him a standing ovation was brilliant. It just shows people's love for Picard. The whole thing was like full. Like 2,000 people crammed into this, I'd say a small panel there. I've been to the bigger ones. And as Dom just said in the chat, a really good event. It was a good event. I liked it. There was a lot on display there. And the cosplay as well. I need to mention this. The cosplay is fantastic. It's one thing Star Trek fans do really well. We got to sit down with the Sound of Cosplay, Mo, who does the Paul Stamets cosplay. Have you seen that one before?
No, I don't think I have, actually, no.
You probably have seen it on social media at least once. I sent you after this, but you've probably seen it once.
Oh, actually, you know what? I did see it because he took a photo with Anthony Rapp. I saw them together.
Yeah, I think she did that. It's the one with the lights on it.
Yeah.
So we got to sit down with her and discuss cosplay's made, and I think that's one of the great things the Trek community do as well. It's cosplay. So many of these Pike uniforms as well. Pike uniforms are definitely in at the minute. People love doing them. And my colleague Dom, he had the new Star Trek Picard cosplay as well, which is very cool. I don't know. I think cosplay is a very central part of Star Trek, and I loved it. But yeah, overall, the event was really nice. Do you have any specific questions you'd like to ask me about it?
Nothing too specific. The only question I would have to you is how close did you get to the Admiral Picard uniform? Did you get to touch it or like?
Yeah, extremely close. I could have touched it, but I didn't want to, as it might be a bit rude. But I've got a ton of close pictures to it, of which I'll send you.
Okay, cool. Was there any kind of a signage or any kind of description attached to the uniform around it? Because I know they had a lot of that in the first look stuff where they had like little placards that kind of described things. Was there anything around that gave additional details to the uniform?
Yes, I believe there was one. I have it somewhere around here. I might have it on my phone, wherever that's gone. But yeah, it's apparently Dom touched it. There we go. Let's not tell everyone. Yeah, there was some signage on it, but overall the uniform looked really nice, to be honest. I've got tons of pictures of Patrick Stewart on my phone. Here we go. Okay, so this sign was next to it, but I think this is. It just says. Yeah, that's only to the awards. It doesn't actually mention anything about the uniform. I'll double check for my other pictures to see if there's anything for the uniform as well. but I don't think there was any sign saying it.
Okay, no, that's cool. We had a quick question here from Brian who says, "What about lower decks? Wasn't there a panel there? Was there a panel for lower decks there?"
Wasn't a panel, but what kind of was. Basically, Mike McCann, the person who's obviously the creator of Lower Decks, Skype called in. It didn't go wrong to basically a small audience. I would say there was many turning up to the Lower Decks talk, which is slightly disappointing. But again, I think it's because people haven't really learned much about Lower Decks so far. We know it's out there, but there's been no trailer or anything to hype it up. Rightly so, because they're still in the process of making it. But still, he streamed in there, basically gave us a standard spiel, introduced us to the characters again, get a little bit more detail going on there. We've got some notes on it, of which we'll probably do an article soon, and I'll share those with you as well.
Okay.
But yeah, there was nothing new to learn from a Lower Decks panel. Basically, it's proceeding on nicely. They're in a stage at the moment where they're sending it off for like some more animation renders, apparently. So coloring, essentially, for those who know how animation is made, that's what they're doing. So yeah, it's nothing new from it, basically. There's a few tidbits, but nothing new. Two things I forgot to mention, by the way. We learned this at the DST Patrick Stewart talk, was there's apparently a couple of Romulans on the vineyard looking after him. And obviously, I think we see them in the trailer, but it's obviously not connected, especially. But Romulans looking after Picard, I know we've learned that before. That's still quite interesting to me. Why is the retired Starfleet admiral have Romulans on his vineyard looking after him?
Right. What are their
Bit interesting.
Yeah, what's their connection to him? Is it's not the character of Elnor. I don't believe he's actually there with him on the vineyard. I think it's the female character that we saw where she in the first trailer where she says, "You may have forgotten who you are, but we do not." I think that's one of them, but I don't think Elnor is the other one. The only reason I say that is this is just quick theory on my part. We haven't seen him on the vineyard. And I think we saw one of the trailer shots with him in there was like him what appeared to be on the same planet where Picard gets into that sword fight. So I'm thinking he goes there to get Elnor from wherever he's at, doing whatever to kind of join his band of misfits to go save Daj from the Borg prison cube. So I don't know who the other one is or really what they're doing there. Why specifically is it Romulans and why they're looking after him? Yeah, it's quite interesting, and I feel like we're going to learn a little bit more about what he did for the Romulans, and I'm wondering if it's because there's a sequence, there's a couple of sequences that allude to Picard doing some kind of televised interview about the destruction of Romulus and all that stuff like that. We see a trailer. It's actually one of the images that are floating on right here, where you see his face kind of displayed on a bunch of different screens, and it seems like he's doing like an interview about what happened. So I'm wondering if these people are grateful for him for that, or they're kind of attached to him for some reason in regards to that, or it's quite
I wonder
interesting.
if this could be connected. Sorry to interrupt you. I wonder if this could be connected to the same thing in the first teaser where it's like, so why did you leave Starfleet, Admiral Picard? Maybe it's connected to that, a similar type of thing of him being interviewed there. And that's what's being shown on the screen. So you've only just made me think of it. That's why I needed to mention it quickly before I forgot it.
No, yeah,
Maybe
you're
that's
good.
the type of thing going on.
Definitely. I mean, so in this reality, as far as we know, in this timeline, I should say, as far as we know, Picard was working with Spock and company, the Vulcans, to save Romulus from destruction, and they failed utterly. And as far as Picard knows, Spock died stopping the Hobus supernova. And I'm wondering if part of his guilt, or maybe that's why he left Starfleet, is because he felt guilty about the loss of Spock and the loss of Romulus, and that he didn't do enough, and that's why he left, or he did everything he could to try to save as many people as he could. Because they did mention in the Star Trek 2009 that they did evacuate the planet, but it wasn't enough, and most of them had perished.
Too late.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're going to connect that to his guilt for leaving. But obviously, I know in the Countdown comic, which Mark Gleason just asked in the chat box if the Countdown comic is going to be canon. And yes, the Countdown comic, the new Star Trek Picard Countdown comic will be canon, and this will actually be supplanting the Countdown comic we got from Star Trek 2009 that led up to that film. So whatever storyline they're going to attach to that will be supplanting that. So that will be canon. So whatever he's doing there will be as canon as canon can be. CBS is kind of Star Wars is very strict on what is canon. They're very clear with the guidelines, whereas CBS is like, it's the shows and the movies and maybe some of these book stuff, but I don't know, kind of. They're not really too descriptive yet, but they may get more of a hard line once they start producing a lot of this, a lot more of these Picard stories and stuff like that. And I feel like they've kind of started that process with the Discovery comics and the Discovery books, where they're like, these are canon-related stories. So that's where we're at right now.
So, the Countdown comic. Do we have a release date for that? Don't we? I've forgotten.
We do, and I have it written down somewhere, and I forgot
If I see you
it.
write things down, I've forgotten it. It's around here somewhere.
Yeah, I hold on. Count.
So is it? I can't remember what day it's coming.
That's why we have access to the
And
internet
also
here.
the new Picard novel as well. Did just mention it as well. That's also coming out, which is going to obviously.
Yes.
It's coming after Picard, isn't it? After the first episode launches.
Well, according to the release date on Amazon, it is, but I don't know if they're going to update that as we get closer.
Yeah,
We're still a
the
few
Amazon
months out.
Changed quite a few times.
Yeah, IDW has the first issue just marked as November 2019 on their website.
Okay.
So
we can
soon.
expect that sometime next month. Most likely because Discovery Aftermath is releasing on the 6th or 16th. I think it's 16th. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's one of it. So basically, that is going to end first, Aftermath, and then obviously most likely they'll release Picard. So I'd say probably towards the end of November.
Yeah, I would say that that's pretty accurate. So Star Trek Pike is saying it's out. Are you talking about the comics being out or the novel being out?
I know Collateral Damage is out by, is it
Star Trek Picard book is out already? This is news to me. I thought it wasn't out yet.
I can't remember. The I can't remember the bloody books by now. Is it Human Comic? I need to go take a look now. Quickly, everyone to Google.
That's right. Yes, help us. This is we're true professionals here. Okay, we know what we're doing. All right,
that's why we're furiously googling.
I don't.
It still says expected on 11th of February.
Yeah, I don't have one release date right now. This one is actually showing 10 February.
I see it is by Una McCormack.
Yeah, mine is showing 10 February for.
There was one Picard book that came out, which is Collateral Damage, which Dom has currently been reading at the minute. That is fantastic, apparently. We've got a video going up on that soon. Yeah, but the Star Trek Picard book, the one that's meant to be coming out in 11th February, is written by Una McCormack.
Yeah.
And she's a fantastic writer. There's plenty of panels with her at Destination Star Trek. She didn't give away any information on that one, because obviously CBS snipers are probably sat somewhere, and she was with John Van Sitters as well, so I definitely don't want to mention anything.
Gotcha.
However, I think with her writing style, it's going to be a very cool book, and I can't wait to see how she handles it, because she loves writing Star Trek, particularly about Cardassians and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see how she handles this one.
Yeah, I'm very excited for both the IDW comics and that book. I'm usually hesitant to buy some of the expanded universe stuff for many pop culture stuff, not just Star Trek, because I'm kind of like, is this really worth the money? Is it, but for these ones, I'm super excited. I think it's my attachment to Picard's character and wanting to know literally everything about him. So I feel like it's going to be a no-brainer for me. I'm going to be purchasing all of them. So I'm very excited.
This series, I really hope Star Trek Picard, and I think you'd agree, catapults Star Trek into a new golden age. And I think it really will if it's done right and releases and basically comes like a bat out of hell for January 2020. What better time to launch Star Trek into a golden age with new series like Section 31 and hopefully a Pike series sometime soon coming out of nowhere. I think it'd be great.
I agree 100%. I can't wait for the show to come out and just rocket the franchise back into mainstream where it really belongs. And I know for all the Star Trek talk and discussions we've actually only have 2 seasons of one show, even though there's 5 shows in production, possibly 6 shows in production right now. So we don't really know exactly what the rest of these are going to look like. And I hope that everything is going to be great. Everything I've seen so far is very good, very exciting. And I can't wait to see how it all kind of plays out. So I'm very excited.
And we'll be joining you live, both of us, from San Diego Comic-Con next year, where they'll hopefully announce a Star Trek Pike series.
Or hopefully sooner. I don't know. I'll take it sooner.
We'll be camping outside of Hall H.
That's right. Yeah, seriously, keeping our eyes peeled for Anson Mountain in uniform. So
basically, ambush that man right away.
Seriously, I know. I'm still very confident about that, but we don't have to get about Pike about right now. So
yeah, I mean, Section 31. Shazad has mentioned Section 31 a few times. That's still going ahead, but it depends on Michelle Yeoh's schedule, basically. So they're developing basically, but I don't know. It's still a long way to go for that series, I think, and we obviously wouldn't see that till 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, possibly 2022, because I don't even think they're even looking to start filming until 2021. So,
well, according to them, they was going to start filming after Discovery Season 3. Now, I think that's due to end in February, isn't it?
Well, filming Discovery Season 3 or airing of Discovery Season 3?
No, filming.
Okay. Because when they said that,
it depends on Michelle Yeoh's schedule.
Yeah, and she's got a lot of other stuff right now. She's a pretty hot commodity. So Yeah, I'm very excited for all of it, to be perfectly honest. And we may even get a Pike film for all that matters, especially since the CBS Viacom merger actually will officially, I don't know if you saw that news report, I haven't put up a video
Yeah.
about it, but it's officially going to be going through by the end of November. So they will be completely locked in. Obviously, it's going to be a long time before they unravel things, but the ability is there for them to do that now and release either a theatrical film or just a straight up CBS All Access film, which they don't really do that yet, which could also be another kind of trailblazing thing that Alex Kurtzman and company do. And it makes sense. They could get a specific budget and then do a film about Pike with everybody there. So that could be interesting as well, because CBS may be trying to up their game a little bit, because now they got all these cool shows out, not just Star Trek, but they got a lot of shows out on the All Access, but they haven't tackled the films portion yet. And obviously, if they're going to try that, they'd probably want to try it with their flagship franchise of Star Trek. So it makes sense. That might be where we're headed. But anyways, did you have any other things you wanted to share up about Destination Star Trek before we wrapped up?
No, but would you like to do a quick Q&A with the chat a minute? I remember we mentioned we
Yeah.
to do that one.
Definitely. So does anybody have any questions that you'd like to see us answer or kind of debate and talk about? I see here they're really piling on the time travel. Will Daniels make an appearance and tell them to cool it? I don't know if Daniels is going to pop up. I think that they definitely need to address the temporal Cold War. I feel like ignoring that entirely will be kind of a slap in the face, even though I know it's several hundred years later. But I'm feeling like something to do with the temporal Cold War may have led to where the Federation perhaps is at now. And maybe that kind of led to its kind of falling apart, I guess, or its challenges, I guess is what they're putting it now. Because I always felt like Daniels was implying that the Federation wasn't really around in his time. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would like the Temple Cold War addressed or explored more in Discovery. For me, I very much like Star Trek Enterprise, and I like how the way it introduced the Temple Cold War. Maybe they ran with it a bit too early in the showtime, but that's a debate for another time. However, the Temple Cold War, and particularly Daniels, is explored very well, and I love how Archer interacted with it, particularly when he closed it off as well.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe it could have a place in Discovery. I'd also like Daniels to pop in and go, "Oi, pack it in. We know you've been time traveling around. Stop it."
Yeah,
Give him a
I
bit of a tap
agree.
on the shoulder, going, "Sod off," you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. We have a couple more questions here. Do you
So
think
just before
the?
you do, someone
Oh, sorry.
mentioned, by the way,
Yeah.
about the naming of Picard and Pike. Someone asked this at the Anson Mount panel. I think it was a Discovery or Discovering season 2. Someone asked Anson Mount if he got his own show. TJ might be able to correct me on this one. What would he like it named? He said he wouldn't like it named Star Trek Pike, which is interesting. So obviously he's been thinking about the name. So that got us thinking about what else could it be named. We know CBS have trademarked several things at the minute.
Yes.
Star Trek Destiny is one that's trademarked. Now, originally, a lot of us thought that was going to be the name for Star Trek Picard because the Destiny book series was heavily about Picard's story.
Yes.
Therefore, it would make sense for it. What if Destiny is for Star Trek Pike? Obviously, this is speculation of theory here. However, Pike knows his destiny. He knows where he'll end up.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's very
therefore, a
true.
series about that. Also, Star Trek Origins as well.
Yeah, I think Origins doesn't. I mean, in my mind, when I think of Pike and Company, you could imply an Origins piece because that's kind of like where it all started type thing because of the original pilot and all that stuff. But I would feel like Destiny makes the most sense for exactly the reason that you mentioned, which is that Pike knows his eventual destiny, which is to wind up in the chair. And then, you know, of course, the crystal didn't show him about how he's going to live out the rest of his life on Talos 4 with Vina. But, you know, that's fine. That's fine. They totally showed him the bad stuff.
There at some point.
Yeah.
So TJ just said, reminded me that Star Trek Origins, sorry, Oranges?
Oranges,
Origins
okay.
is what he said at the panel. So that's what Anson Mount said. But obviously, Star Trek Destiny is what CBS have trademarked. I don't think they've trademarked Origins.
I'd have to go back and look. Yeah.
I don't think they've trademarked that one.
Question here is, do you think the Tholians may show up in Picard? I don't think the Tholians will show up in Picard. I think it's more likely the Tholians might show up in Discovery, and I honestly would love to see how this creative team with Star Trek right now would redesign the Tholians to kind of upgrade their look. I think it would look really cool. The Tholians have always had kind of a cool presence and cool look to them, but modern cinematic effects and props and stuff like that, I think could look really cool. I mean, I when I think the Tholians and what they could look like, I think of that the Ba'ul creature that we saw inside of Discovery Season 2, which was beautifully done and really, really cool and creepy. And if they could do something cool like that for the Tholians, then I would be totally fine with that. That would be fun, I think, to see.
Yeah, I think Folians have a very cool place. I'd love to see a modern version of them because as much as they've been explored on screen, they've not massively been explored. We saw a lot of them in Enterprise with them messing around with stuff that came from the future. I love the intros like Jonathan Archer and that's that squeaking high pitched voice.
Yes.
I love that. It's very creepy. And we didn't see them up until a Mirror episode either, which is very interesting. Their ships were quite cool and I loved it. But yeah, Folians are very cool. I would like to see them, which is quite cool. Someone just asked the question, will Discovery have 7 seasons? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I'm betting we'll have a season 4 personally. What do you think about
that? 7, I think, is swinging high. I think I don't even necessarily know that I would, even if the show was like came out of the gate as the greatest thing ever and everyone universally loved it, like period, hands down. I don't know if I would want them to try to stretch it to 7 seasons. I would want them to go as long as they feel comfortable with telling their story. For me, that rounds around 5. 5 seasons for a television show, I think, is very, very solid. You tell some very good stories. I know traditionally that Star Trek usually goes a bit longer than that, and Enterprise was kind of the one that got cut short, and so is, in some regards, TOS got cut short. But I'm comfortable with saying that I feel like 5 would be a much more accurate, well-rounded number. But what do you think about that?
I think 5. If the story permits it to go longer, then it should go longer. But I think, it just depends how the story fits, I think. That's kind of a basic answer, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I got you there. We have another question that says, do we think that any other tie-ins will be from DS9 in the Picard show? I would say yes. I would argue that one of the images that are actually flying through here on the slideshow that you guys are seeing, there's a character that Picard's walking down a hallway with, which almost looks a little bit like a Founder. Not quite there. It looks like a cross between a Founder and, I don't know, like an android or something. But it could be a Founder. That's just a theory of mine. But do I think that there'll be some more DS9 elements in the show? I think so. I think that they will do that. I think that somebody even asked Alex Kurtzman at New York Comic Con if they were planning on doing anything in relations to Aaron Eisenberg's character of Nog, or if they were going to do any kind of connection to his character or anything like that. And he said that they were looking into it. Obviously, it would be kind of retroactive because obviously they didn't know he was going to have a untimely passing. But so they already potentially are going to add something in relations to Nog inside of the show. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd love to see that. But I think, honoring Aaron Eisenberg as, Captain or Admiral Nog and something like that could be very fun. I think it needs to be done. I really think it does. Basically what you said.
Yeah, I would say so. But all right, so I think we're going to wrap it up. That's top it off here about an hour. So I want to thank you, Captain Jack of Trek Central, for coming on the show here and chatting it up with me and kind of getting the conversations flowing. I'm glad everybody was able to come out and join us here. So, Captain, where can, if anybody's not subscribed to you right now, where can they locate you guys at?
So you can personally find myself over on youtube.com/CaptainJack or on Twitter, CaptainJackT. If you want to come over to Trek Central and see what we're doing, you can find us at http or www.trekcentral.net or youtube.com/Trek Central. And I think our Twitter is the Trek Central. I should know this, but it's late at night. And
True professional.
That's fine. I know. We're doing all the latest Star Trek news, and we're also doing a lot of Star Trek theories and a lot in the run-up to Picard at the minute. So if you're looking to learn about the Star Trek universe, and maybe you're a modern person or a modern viewer to the Star Trek franchise, if you've not watched or learned everything about the Next Generation, we've got a lot of that coming over the next couple of months to prepare you for Star Trek Picard when it launches on January 23rd, January 24th for international viewers. So yeah, once again, thank you, Ketwolski, for having me here on the channel. I always love coming out to do these streams as we get to talk to more of the Star Trek community. And I think very soon, probably in the next 2 weeks, we must have you over on the Trek Central channel to, again, discuss more things Star Trek.
Yes, sounds great. Thank you again for coming out.
What would be great, by the way.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's plan it ahead of time. We'll plan it live and see if we can stick to it. We know there's a new short trek November 14th for Pike One, isn't it?
Ooh, I see what you're doing there. We might be able to work that.
Why don't we do a live discussion on Trek Central on Sunday the 17th?
I think we might be able to do that. That might be good. Okay. All right. We'll see if we can make that work. That might be good. So I do appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate everyone coming out and participating in the chat and hanging out with us here. So I hope everyone has a great evening, and I hope you guys live long and prosper. We'll catch you guys later.